For more experienced engineers, working on assignment isn't anything new. You've likely done it before. You've moved between projects, stepped into unfamiliar teams, adapted to different client standards, or delivered under rotational schedules. But even at senior level, every assignment still begins the same way: getting there. The first steps are the same: travel arrangements, visas, medical clearances, client onboarding requirements, site inductions, sometimes across multiple jurisdictions and stakeholders. In some cases, it's straightforward. In others, particularly remote or offshore environments, it can be a tightly controlled mobilization window where timing, compliance, and readiness all have to align precisely. One of the easiest ways to cut through the complexity is to work with a recruitment partner who knows the industry inside out. These teams deal with mobilization, compliance, and project schedules every single day, so they understand what's happening behind the scenes on every assignment. And if they're backed by a global network like NES Fircroft, there's usually someone on the ground wherever the project takes you. That means smoother coordination, clear communication, and a better experience from start to finish. Once everything's in place though, the focus shifts pretty quickly from logistics to the job itself, because the main thing that changes from assignment to assignment is the details, not necessarily the fact that you're working away. Different country, different company, different regulations, sometimes even a completely different part of the energy sector, and that's where the real adjustment begins. Even for senior engineers, every assignment starts with a reset. You're stepping into a partially established delivery structure, existing engineering decisions you didn't shape, client-specific standards and governance models, and interfaces already in motion across multiple contractors. So the first phase of any assignment is often less about execution and more about understanding where your scope fits inside a live working system. As many experienced engineers describe it, you don't arrive to start work, you arrive to figure out how work is already being done and how you fit into that. On paper, most assignments are clearly defined by discipline or package. In reality, delivery success is driven by interfaces, such as engineering to procurement, construction to commissioning, client expectations to contractor execution, or onshore planning to offshore reality. The more senior your role, the more your time shifts away from pure technical output and towards decision alignment, risk interpretation, interface resolution, and trade-off management under schedule and budget pressure. Assignments tend to remind you that projects rarely move in a straight line. The real work often happens in the gaps between teams, disciplines, and priorities. Even within the same sector, be that oil and gas, offshore wind, LNG, or hydrogen, you'll rarely see a universal way of working. Each assignment brings its own operating system, be that safety cases interpreted differently by project site, varied tolerance for engineering change control, different procurement and vendor ecosystems, or differing cultures and expectations around escalation and authority. Senior engineers often find the adjustment is as much procedural as it is technical, and that procedural shift can materially impact delivery speed, communication style, and decision making. At senior level, assignment work becomes less about individual contribution and more about team integration at speed. You're often stepping into multinational engineering teams, mixed contractor and client environments, and rotational workforces with high turnover cycles. That creates a constant requirement to rebuild trust and working rhythm quickly. The engineers who thrive tend to be those who can establish credibility early without needing long onboarding curves. Most assignments operate under compressed timelines, and that creates familiar pressure points. This could be late design changes impacting construction windows, procurement delays feeding downstream critical path risk, commissioning teams inheriting complete engineering clarity, and client expectation evolving faster than scope freeze. For experienced engineers, this isn't new, but the intensity varies significantly by geography and project maturity. So, why assignments? Well, despite the complexity, assignment work continues to attract experienced engineers for clear reasons, such as exposure to large-scale, high-value infrastructure delivery, direct influence on operational outcomes, not just design intent, broader cross-discipline experience compared to office-based roles, faster accumulation of leadership responsibility, and more now than ever, involvement in energy transition projects shaping the next decade. It remains one of the few environments where engineering decisions are visibly connected to real-world impact at scale. So when we talk about what to expect on assignment, for experienced engineers, it isn't about learning how these environments work. The logistical side of working on assignment can easily be navigated with guidance, but recognizing how quickly you're expected to adapt and how the specific project works and how effectively you can operate inside it is a real skill.